Most people think dementia is just something that happens when you get old. But what if I told you that early signs can show up way earlier than you expect, sometimes even in your 30s or 40s? And here is actually the scary part. A lot of these signs don't even start with memory loss. They show up in ways most people completely ignore until it's too late. So in this video, I'm breaking down the 10 early signs of dementia you should never ignore and how to spot them, how they are different from normal forgetfulness, and what to do if you or someone you love is showing these signs. And also, we're going to talk about who is actually at risk because it's not just the elderly, and whether dementia can be prevented or slowed down, and what science says about the treatment. So by the end of the video, I can guarantee you will not only know what to look out for, but also what steps to take next. So I want you to stick around because this could literally save a life. Hey my people, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Kodri, a nursing student who loves diving deep into medical research and breaking it down in a way that actually makes sense. I'm not a doctor, not even a nurse yet, but I am very passionate about health, and I genuinely believe that understanding things like dementia early on can really help protect ourselves and the people we care about. And honestly, the reason I'm making this video is because I've seen how devastating dementia can be, not just for the person going through it, but for their entire family. So the earlier you are able to spot the signs, the more you can do about it. So let's get into it. All right, so before we dive deep into the early signs, so let's quickly clear up what dementia actually is, because there is a lot of confusion around it. So most people think that dementia just means memory loss, but it's way more than that. Dementia is an umbrella term for a group of brain disorders that affect memory, thinking, problem solving, even personality. So this is not just about forgetting things. It's about changes in the brain that interfere with daily life. So now, a really important question people ask is, wait, isn't some forgetfulness just normal aging? And yes, absolutely. Forgetting where you left your keys, normal. Forgetting what keys are for, that's a red flag. So mixing up the days of the week, but figuring it out later, that's not a big deal. But when you get lost in a place you've been to 100 times, that's a huge problem. And here's the thing, dementia isn't just one disease, it comes in different forms. One of the forms is Alzheimer's disease, which is the most common time, and it usually starts with memory loss. We also have what is called the vascular dementia. This happens after strokes or reduced blood flow to the brain. Then we have what is called the Lewy body dementia. So this one also causes memory loss, but in addition, there is hallucination and sleep issues. Also, there is what is called the frontotemporal dementia. So this one hits personality and behavior first, not just memory. So yeah, dementia isn't just about forgetting things. It's about your brain changing in ways that disrupt your life. And unfortunately, it can start much earlier than people think. So which brings us to the big question, what are the early warning signs? Okay, so let's start with the obvious one, which is the memory problem. But this is not just about forgetting names, like I said. So when you forget names or where you left your keys, that's not actually the real problem. The real concern is when someone starts forgetting things they should never forget. Like for example, how you get home from a usual route, or struggling to record words mid-sentence. For example, instead of saying, "Can you pass me the salt?" they might say, "Can you pass me that thing?" And they do this often, constantly. Secondly, when you have trouble with problem solving or planning, have you ever followed a recipe and you had to double check the steps? That's completely normal, but imagine struggling to follow a recipe you've made dozens of times, or suddenly not knowing how to manage bills when you've been doing it for years. So this sign can show up as someone making weird financial decisions, struggling to concentrate, or just giving up on tasks that used to be very easy. So another thing is confusion with time or place. So this one could be very tricky because we all lose track of time sometimes, but thinking is morning when it's actually night, or when you're suddenly not recognizing where you are. So that's a big red flag. So number 4 is trouble finding words. Like I said before, we all forget words sometimes, but it's normal. But when simple words start slipping away too often, or conversation become a struggle, it could be a sign of something more. Instead of saying, "I need to go to the doctor," they might say, I need to go to that place where sick people go. So this is not normal. And even sometimes they replace words in really strange ways, like calling a hand watch a clock, or maybe a fridge a code box. So number 5 is mood and personality changes, which is actually one of the biggest signs people miss, because dementia can affect emotions and personality. Someone who was always easygoing might just suddenly become irritable and aggressive, and it could be the opposite. You see someone that is super outgoing, you might just see him or her starting to avoiding people and isolating themselves. They might even get paranoid, accusing family members of stealing, or thinking strangers are out to get them. Number 6 is struggling with everyday tasks. Just imagine forgetting how to use something as simple as a microwave, or suddenly you don't know how to turn on the TV. So even though, of course, you've done it for many years. And another thing is driving can become very dangerous for these people, because they forget basic rules of the road, or they can get confused at intersections. So if someone suddenly stops cooking, stop driving, or avoids everyday activities, so this could be the reason why. So the 7th sign is poor judgment and decision making. Have you ever got a scam email? Most people, they ignore them, but someone with early dementia might actually fall for them. So sending money to strangers, or giving away personal information, or they can start making really odd choices, like wearing a winter coat in the summer, or leaving the house in pajamas without realizing it. So number 8 sign is difficulty understanding visual images or special relationship. This one is actually very dangerous, because it affects the depth of perception, and how the brain processes what the eyes. People might struggle with judging distances, which makes driving super risky. They might trip over things more often, mistake shadows for objects, or even see reflection in a mirror and think it's a real person. So number 9 is withdrawing from work or social life, because like I said, dementia doesn't just affect memory, it makes socializing harder. So conversations start to feel overwhelming, because they forget words, lose track of conversation, or cannot even follow jokes. So what happens? They start avoiding people, they stop answering calls, quit their hobbies, and just shut down. So if someone used to be super social but now never want to go out, you need to pay attention to this. So the next on the list is, which is the 10th one, changes in sense of smell or taste. So this one surprises a lot of people, but studies have found that losing the ability to smell certain scents, like maybe coffee, smoke, or even body odor, can be early warning sign of dementia. And not just that, taste also change. Some people start craving sugary foods, or suddenly stop liking foods they've always loved. So final thought before we move on. So if you are hearing these signs, does any of this sound familiar? If you've noticed any of these changes in yourself or a loved one, don't panic, but don't ignore them either. Up next, let's talk about who's actually at risk for dementia, and it's not just about the elderly, whether there is anything you can do to slow it down or even prevent it. The good news is, yes, there are some things you can do to protect your brain as you age. Let's break this down into simple steps. So number 1, diet and brain health. First up, what you eat matters. We've all heard about the Mediterranean diet, right? So this turns out that it's not just great for your heart, it's also really good for your brain. So think a lot of veggies, healthy fat like olive oil and avocado, that is fatty fish that is rich in omega-3s, stuff like salmon, sardines, and walnuts. They can really help your brain. On the flip side, try to cut down on ultra-processed foods. So those sugary, fatty snacks, they are not doing your brain any favors. Also, try to exercise, because exercising is another huge factor. So we know it's good for your body, but it's also very super important for your brain health. So when you do regular physical activity, it actually helps to build new brain cells and keeps your brain sharp. But don't just stop at exercise, so keep your brain active too, whether it's learning a new skill, reading, doing puzzles, or even just having a meaningful conversation with a friend. The more you challenge your brain, the better it will be at staying sharp. So another thing that helps is having a good sleep. So did you know that your brain actually clears out toxins while you sleep, specifically during deep sleep? So if you're not getting enough rest, it's likely your brain is missing out on its cleaning routine, its cleaning sessions. So try to aim for about 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep in a day. This is very ideal for your brain health. So another thing is managing your stress. We all deal with stress, but stress is actually good for you, but when it becomes chronic, that's a big problem, because when you constantly stress, it can actually shrink part of your brain that are responsible for memory. Finding ways to manage stress, whether it's through meditation, anything you enjoy doing, exercise, or just taking time. Finding ways to manage stress, whether it's through meditation, exercise, or just taking time to relax, can really make a difference in the long run. So finally, avoid toxins like heavy alcohol use. Smoking and even exposure to pollution can increase your risk of dementia. So if you can limit or avoid this, your brain will really thank you later. So the bottom line is this: taking care of your body, your brain, your lifestyle today can help keep dementia at bay down the line. And remember, small habits make a big difference over time. All right, so now let's move on to the next big question, which is who's most at risk for dementia, and how can you figure out if you are in that group? So like I've mentioned, dementia isn't something that affects only one specific group of people. However, certain factors can increase an individual's risk, like the lifestyle factors mentioned earlier, not having enough sleep, toxins like heavy drinking, chronic stress, poor brain health, etc. Other contributing factors include genetics and family history, age, which is actually a big factor, if not the biggest, underlying health conditions, cardiovascular health, which of course refers to conditions that affect the heart and blood vessels, including high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, and obesity. So if you're noticing some of these early signs in yourself or someone you love, don't panic, like I said, but do take action. The sooner you address these changes, the better the chances for managing or slowing things down. So here is a quick roadmap for what to do next. First, I want you to schedule a medical checkup. A healthcare professional will be able to assess what's going on. So they might run some cognitive tests, which simple memory and thinking exercises. As well, they can do some brain scan to check for any underlying issues. Sometimes blood work can also provide insight into other health conditions that could be contributing to the symptoms. Secondly, talk to family members. You might notice changes, but sometimes family members or close friends can spot things you haven't. It's a good idea to have an open conversation with them. They might be able to provide additional context or help you remember if there have been subtle changes over time. Thirdly, I want you to seek support. This is very important because don't go through this alone. There are so many support groups and resources out there. There are helplines, online forums, even organizations like the Alzheimer's Association. They can offer support and guidance. So these communities can help you understand what's happening and connect you with other that are going through the same thing. So not all forgetfulness means dementia. We all misplace our keys or forget some names from time to time, and that's totally normal. The goal here is to help raise early awareness so you can spot any signs that could point to something more serious and act on them as soon as possible. But don't stress too much. Early detection is a key, and remember, it's never too late to start making positive changes to protect your brain health. So if you found this video helpful, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below with your thoughts or experiences. Let's start a conversation. I'm genuinely interested to know if any of these signs stood out to you or if you've noticed anything in your own life. If you're still here, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more science-backed health insights and tips. I've got plenty more videos coming your way to help you live healthier and more informed. Thanks for watching, and take care of yourself and each other. Cheers.